everyone. It's Jane McLeod, fans of the framework, Facebook Live on your leadership plate. And this is part 3 of a 3-part series. And today it's all about inspire. How do you become a more inspiring leader? And what does it really mean to inspire people? So I'm here today live in absolutely breathtaking Hayward, Wisconsin, the Northwoods of our country, and in an obvious hotel lobby that is dressed the part. So if you hear any strange sounds, it's just normal lobby stuff, but it's very quiet here, so I think we'll be good. So let's talk about the other 2 parts of the leadership plate. We've already covered innovation, inspiring people to be open to change and consider change and to be very vocal about their change ideas. And for you as a leader to be open to listening to their ideas about innovation and change. Influence. How do you become an influencer? We already talked about the fact that to become more influential is to really show gratitude and to acknowledge others. So being an influencer, it's all about others and not about you. But inspiration is something that's completely different altogether. So I want to read you first the textbook definition of inspiration and inspire. To inspire is to fill someone with the urge or ability to do or feel something, especially to do something creative. Especially something creative. And we already talked during innovation that, we have way too many machines in our life right now. Really, we need great inspired people to have very creative minds. Okay, so I want to read you this story or tell you a story. Consider the story about a man that's walking around his city and he comes upon a worker, and that worker is laying bricks. And he says to this worker, "What is it that you're doing?" And the worker looks at him, and he gets his face all full of sarcasm, and he says, "Well, it's quite obvious. I'm laying bricks. Hello." So the man says, "Okay." So he walks around the corner of the building, and he sees yet another worker taking a brick, slabbing it with mortar, putting it in place. And he says to the second worker, "What is it that you're doing?" And the worker turns to him and says, "I'm building a cathedral." Right? Can you see that difference? One is inspired, one is not. So what makes some of your employees inspired and some of them not? What makes some of your employees cathedral builders and obviously able to see what their purpose, mission, and vision goes beyond saving lives and stamping out disease? And what makes some of your employees simply laying bricks, right? Laying bricks. In fact, they're laying bricks and they're wondering what they can do to hurry up and get all the bricks laid so they can get on with their life. In fact, they're wondering why this bricklaying is really getting in the way of them having a life at all. Right? We see that as leaders, don't we? So effective leaders do what Max Dupree calls the art of leadership. And that is 2 major responsibilities of leaders: giving thanks first and foremost. And we talked a lot about that during influence and innovation. But the second thing that, in his words, and then I'll change them into Jane's words, is to define reality and articulate the vision for employees to get from where they are to that defined reality. And really, we like at Capstone Leadership Solutions, we like to think about the defined reality as the mission, vision, and strategy of your organization. What is the mission, vision, strategy? So make it a shared vision for your people, and then really lead them there, really and truly lead them there. So how do we connect them? How do you make more of your people cathedral makers and less of your people bricklayers. And remember, there are some people that are cathedral makers in some things that they're very passionate about, and bricklayers in others. And so you have to weigh the risks and benefits of that too. But first, how do you get them to see the cathedral? So we have a tactic that we call mid-year performance conversations, that we advocate that midway through a goal year that you have a performance conversation with employees, and while you're there, you take that opportunity to connect them to the mission, vision, strategy of the organization, and most importantly, your department's goals and what their role, what their purpose is in attaining them. What will they personally do to build a cathedral instead of just lay bricks, right? So you might have a conversation like this to say that, you know, our organization is really focusing on growth strategies this year. It's going to be all about growth, and we're doing that mostly through recruiting new surgeons and starting new service lines and whatever. So let's say that you're speaking to a maintenance director, a plant guy, you know, a plant maintenance man / female. All right. So somebody whose main concern is the boiler and the HVAC and that sort of thing. How can you get them to see that they need to build a cathedral for you? Okay. And what you have to just drill down to their purpose. And that purpose can be something as simple as, you know what? When, you know, the surgeons that we're attempting to recruit see that this is a well-run building, that it's clean, that it's sparkling, they will automatically look at the productivity of our department, the pride of ownership of our department, and they will see that this is really a place where they want to work. Really. Not to mention, you know, in order to do these types of surgeries, we have to keep the temperature at a certain level in the operating room suites. And over the past years, we haven't been able to always attain that. What ideas do you have for always achieving that certain level of moisture, humidity, and temperature in the operating room in order for us to be able to perform these new kinds of surgeries? Okay. You know, what plant ops person, leader has had that conversation, but it's really, there's a shared vision. You have a role in it. You have a lot of role. And so don't let anyone tell you any differently, because you do have a big role. The second way that you can do that with your people is through rounding. You know, as a leader, who your bricklayers are and who your cathedral makers are, right? You know who they are. And so, or you can find it out during rounding. That's a key way to relationship build. What are these people really passionate about? And how can you get them to use their personal passions towards the shared vision? Because sometimes your cathedral makers don't realize that they're cathedral makers. Case in point is a story about Debbie, the housekeeper that cleaned my ICU. Okay. And we had some amazing over-the-top results in our intensive care units. We had, you know, an infection rate that was almost nil. We'd gone 7 years without a ventilator-assisted pneumonia or a central line bloodstream infection. We were rocking the results. And largely, I gave credit to Debbie, our housekeeper. Now, when I say I gave credit to her, I didn't say that verbally. Okay. I didn't always tell Debbie verbally with words. I may have written her thank you note, you're a rock star. I may have said, hey Deb, how's my favorite housekeeper today, or whatever. That's not the same as leading her towards this shared vision. And I knew that I had failed horribly at that when we had a team celebration at the nurse's station. One day to celebrate our decrease in infections and all the great things that we were doing to prevent them. And we had cake, we had some punch, everybody was kind of in the party mood. People came in on their day off to say, hey, we're all amazing, right? And meanwhile, I watched Debbie working, and she's not taking part in the celebration. So what she was probably doing was like, scrubbing the door handles, actually reaching up over the top of the door mantle and scrubbing there, like who does that, right? Getting all the dust bunnies from underneath the bed. She was truly amazing. So I went to her and I'm like, Deb, how come you're not out here celebrating with us? You're one of the main reasons why we got this. We achieved this. Why aren't you with us? She said, oh, that's just for the doctors and nurses. I didn't have anything to do with that. I'm like, whoa, I'm a giant failure to not tell this person that, right? So I told her, Deb, you're our chief infection control officer. You are one of the main reasons that we have achieved this. Look at this work that you do. Like, do you realize how talented you are? Do you realize the details that you follow to make sure? I rely on you to make sure that we achieve this level of greatness, and we want to do even better next year. In order to do that, I need you to continue as you always have. And I listed all the things that I would see her do every single day. She was like, wow. No kidding. And so I drag her over to the desk where the nurses and physicians are celebrating. And, my cardiac guy, or my intensivist, Dr. Abu Daya, thankfully, saw her and, oh, Debbie, thank you so much for helping us achieve this. He knew too that she was a huge part of it, and that it wasn't him or, the fact that he washed his hands before he put in his central line, right? And so she really connected the dots that day in her mind. So guess what behaviors I began to see out of this person that's already a cathedral maker but doesn't realize it. And what started to happen was she would let me know if there was a failure in the system, a break in the system, something that she saw. Jane, I think people are really kind of falling down on their hand washing. I think your nurses are so busy. She was kind about it, but she'd always come and tell me about it. Or, we just got a new cleaner in to save money, and I'm really concerned about this. Will you make sure you watch the results of this and you let me know, because materials management will listen to me if I tell them that, our infections are in jeopardy. This is a housekeeper who has this pride and ownership. She is building a cathedral every day when she comes to work. She is not laying bricks, right? Not laying bricks. So 2 ways: rounding, connecting the dots. Every time you round, are you creating, through each conversation you have, are you creating a cathedral maker, or are you placating and putting up with a bricklayer? Right? Midyear performance conversations can lead people towards that shared vision by opening with, our organization is going here. What are you doing to get us there personally? A lot of times your employees will say, I have no idea how to build a cathedral. What do I do? Right? I want to build a cathedral. I don't want to just lay bricks, but what do I do? And that's your job. To inspire, okay? So inspired leadership, it can be yours with these leadership tactics. Go to our website, www.capstoneleadership.net. Sign up for a 30-minute complimentary consultation. We would love to talk to you. You too can be a 5-star hospital like my friends watching at Eaton Rapids Medical Center. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.